First and foremost, before we talk about Man United, I want to give a massive, massive congratulations to Nottingham Forest because they are one step closer to qualifying for next season's Champions Leagues. And I think they're one of the feel-good stories of the season, right? I made a video a few weeks ago talking about how this Premier League season has been in totality when you look at it as a product. And there's a few stories and a few teams and a few players that really kind of stand out this season and paint the league in a good image this year. One of them has to be Nottingham Forest. They sit in third place. They're basically neck and neck with Arsenal. They've been in the top four all season. And this is a team that many, including myself, tipped for relegation. And as it currently stands, it would require a massive, massive collapse, a massive, massive disaster from everyone involved for Forest to fail to make the Champions League. And that in itself is absolutely brilliant. Now, big shout out to Nuno, who, I'll be real, right? I saw this tweet during midweek from an Arsenal fan saying, why don't people get onto Spurs about how well Nuno has done post-Spurs the way they do about Arsenal fans with Unai Emery, how well he's done post-Arsenal? Because we know Unai Emery has done wonders at Villa, of course, but Arsenal fans hear a lot about it. It's always about, you should never have fired him. Look what he's doing without you guys. Why don't Spurs get that same energy? Because they sacked this guy after 3 months, basically deemed that he wasn't Spurs level. And since then, Forest are playing in a cup semifinal in a few weeks. They're on the cusp of qualifying for the Champions League, while Spurs have basically plummeted like a stone. I do think it's pretty interesting. Why don't Spurs fans really get hit with this Nuno angle as much as Arsenal fans do? I'm just saying, but honestly, Nuno has revolutionized this team and has them on the brink of what is one of the best stories in the Premier League over the last 10 years. I would say this is the biggest story in the Premier League about like a smaller sized club. I don't want to disrespect Forest in terms of their history, but in terms of their status in the modern game, they are a smaller sized club. It's the biggest story since maybe Leicester in 2016. It's absolutely crazy. And the guy who scored for them as well today is a guy that was literally on the books at Man United, an Anthony Elanga. And if we look at that goal and analyze it, right, I think it kind of tells the story about a few things. It tells the story about what kind of change in career Anthony Elanga has experienced over the last 2 years, first and foremost. Ever since leaving Manchester United, this guy has gone from a guy who was on the outside looking in at the club, academy graduate, yes, but someone who was deemed surplus to requirements, deemed not good enough to break into the first team, and sold for only £10 million to a guy now who has been a huge piece to the puzzle for this Forest team. With his speed in behind, his tenacity, his eye for goal, his crossing into the box, his power. The guy's one of the best athletes in the Premier League. We know that about Anthony Elanga. And the way he took his goal as well too. A remarkable display of dribbling, directness, very good finishing as well too. But it also told the story of Man United and their huge problem in terms of physicality. There's such a lack of athleticism in this Manchester United team that I think was brutally exposed by Forest today. Because how many times did we see Morgan Gibbs-White just literally bulldoze his way through the center of the park? Anthony Elanga, who I believe took 7 touches in the space of 9 seconds from his own half to the other side, where Garnacho couldn't take him down, Dorgu couldn't take him down. None of these guys could even get near him, basically finishing by himself. It was a brilliant goal from Anthony Elanga, but it was the perfect summarization of how unathletic Manchester United are throughout the pitch. Not even in wide areas, not even at center back, not even in midfield, everywhere. The lack of athletes in this team is startling, and it's a huge reason as to why this team is so low down the table. Because like it or not, guys, look, technicians matter in the Prem, of course. I will never say otherwise, and it's a criticism I have of Arsenal. I don't think they have enough footballers in that team. You know what I mean? But also what makes Arsenal so great as well too is they got men in that team. They got athletes in that team. They got guys who eat up ground for fun. The likes of your Declan Rices, your Salibas of the world, your Sakas, they have athletes in that team as well too, right? Man United don't have that. Already, they're not a great team technically. We know that. But athletically, they are, wow, shocking. And today against Forest, who are one of the strongest, fastest, hungriest teams in the league, it was a mismatch in so many areas of the pitch. So many. Whether it was the midfield battle between the likes of Yates and who else was in there? I think Danilo was playing today, and then Morgan Gibbs-White. In the wide areas as well too. Taiwo Awoniyi up front. Forest got men in that team, man. And I think they really bullied United in certain aspects of the pitch, right? A lot of people will look at Man United today and say, it's a pretty good performance from us, right? Because we've had most of the ball, and Forest were really kind of just sitting off, and they were camped in their box, and they were just clearing Man United didn't play that bad. I don't think Man United played that bad. I would agree with that. But did we play well? No, we didn't. And anybody using the angle of Forest kind of, not having much of the ball, or, Forest were kind of pushed into their own half, pushed into their own box. I think you're exposing yourself for not watching Forest enough this season. I really do. If you took that away from this game, that, oh, Forest couldn't even get on the ball, or, oh, Forest were defending in their box, that tells me you didn't watch Forest this season. I'll show you why. Every team in the Premier League, based on their passes per defensive action, so effectively it's calculating the most intense pressers in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest are the least intense pressers in the entire Premier League. Fact, statistically, they're the worst. This is a team that under Nuno Espirito Santos are more than happy to completely, first of all, concede possession. They're not interested in the ball whatsoever. They don't really care about stringing passes and controlling the game. They have no interest in that. But also, they're more than happy as well, too, to sit in their block, wait for you to try and break them down, win the ball, and then hit you with devastating counterattacks. That's what they've done all season. That's why Elanga has been so brilliant for them. That's why Hudson-Odoi has been so brilliant for them. That's why in the back, Milinkovic and Murillo have been ridiculous. They've been the two of the best center back players in the league, because they're more than just happy to sit in their block, head chances out of the box defend effectively, and then just hit you on the break. That's what they've done all season. It's the reason why they're in the top 4. They know who they are. They don't try and pretend like they're anybody else. And that's effectively how they beat Man United today. How many times did Forest look like they were 2v3, 3v2, 4v2, 4v3 against Man United on the break? Countless times today, guys. Countless times. So you can tell me all you want about Man United in terms of possession. Yeah, they controlled, I don't want to say they controlled the game, but they controlled the ball. They had the ball. But it's more so about what you do with the ball. You can have possession just for possession's sake. And at times with Man United today, I did feel like that was the case. Now, of course, against Forest, it's not like, okay, they're going to sit back. What, you're just not going to have the ball? Of course, you have the ball. But when I look at that game, right, United just weren't incisive enough, man. Honestly, there isn't enough incisiveness with this team, regardless of how much they had on the ball. Yes, they kept it. But that first half, guys, there's not much positive play from Man United that half. Honestly, there's not many times I thought Man United were going to score a goal, let alone even create a chance. And I think it tells the story of this team under Ruben Amorim, right? It's a team that really, from the word go, haven't been able to kind of get it clicking in the system. It has improved a little bit over the last few weeks as they've had more time together, as they've learned the system more and more. But still, guys, it's not great. And the fact that Man United haven't recorded consecutive wins in the Premier League this season tells the whole sorry story. It tells the whole sorry story. They're a team that on the odd occasion can get a win, but 2 games in a row, forget about it. And it's really not a shock today that they've lost. Like, yeah, they could have probably grabbed an equalizer at the end. Maguire gets his shot. It was like a shot. He like dragged the ball, really. It gets cleared off the line, right? And yeah, if they had gotten a goal, I wouldn't say it was undeserved. I think a draw could have been a fair result today if Man United had found a goal out of somewhere, right? Because I didn't think Forest were particularly brilliant either. But I thought the word for Forest today was they were comfortable. They were very comfortable in their block, just allowing Man United to spam crosses into the box. Because for large parts of that game, that's what they did. At one point, it got so bad, Amorim literally threw on Harry Maguire as like an auxiliary center forward and just pelted balls into the box. Bruno, Dorgu, Dalot, Eriksen, Garnacho, these guys were just spamming balls into the box. And in the form of Murillo and Milinkovic, it might as well have been Rio and Vidic today, playing center back. They headed everything away. They won everything they needed to. They were relatively comfortable, bar one moment at the end where Maguire could have snatched and grabbed it. Outside of that, I think it was a very, very easy day at the office for Forest. And I see a lot of people trying to take positive out of this game. By all means, do so, right? I'm not going to say it was the worst performance we've had under Amorim. It hasn't. It wasn't. That probably speaks more to how bad we've been at times under him. But it's not really a game I'm taking too many positives away from as well either. In fact, it's very difficult for me to take anything from this game, right? Because when you look at Man United's Premier League season, it's over. Well, when you look at most of the Premier League, it's over. The last few weeks, or the last few weeks of the season, I feel like most of these teams are on the beach. Honestly, the top 4 is pretty much going to be decided in the next few weeks, right? I think Arsenal, Forest, and Liverpool are surefire bets. 4th and 5th, there's all to play for. And I do think the Haaland injury could throw a spanner in the works. It could invite a team like Villa into the equation, even though they're kind of starting to fall away. Newcastle are still there as well, too. Chelsea, they're going to want to get back in the Champions League. That might still be a player. But a lot of these other teams, man, they're on the beach. And Man United, in terms of Premier League, they don't have anything to play for. Man United's season comes down to the Europa League. That's literally it. So it's very difficult for me to take any huge takeaways from this game, but I'll take a few. Positives, Yoro. I thought Yoro had a good game today. I thought he had an amazing tackle on Elanga, where Elanga, again, he looked like he was poised to have another run from his own half into our box and maybe get another opportunity off. Yoro, terrific tackle, which he probably, I wish he had been there for the first one. He might have pulled down Elanga. De Ligt, I thought he did well with Awoniyi. That's like the kind of matchup he likes, right? Physical, strong center forward that he doesn't have to kind of play in front of him. He's going to play with his back to goal. De Ligt likes those kinds of matchups. So I thought De Ligt was decent. Outside of that, guys, I'm hard pressed to find too many positives, right? Again, there's not that many negatives either. This was just kind of a meh performance from Man United. Again, kept the ball well. At times in the first half, there were a few very nice combinations from like Bruno to Casemiro. I didn't think was awful. Actually, yeah, Casemiro, I thought had a pretty good... In fact, I would have liked to see Bruno start next to Casemiro. Now, of course, I understand that Casemiro, you can't play him every single game, and he's going to definitely play against Lyon. But I've liked Bruno deeper, and I actually think Casemiro in the last few weeks has been one of Man United's better performers. This Casemiro-Ugarte duo, I'm not really too keen on. And then when he took both of them off and played Bruno and Eriksen, again, not something I'm especially keen on. Eriksen, honestly, I keep saying it, right? I'm sick and tired of seeing this guy play. He's gone at the end of the season. I don't know what the deal is with Collier. Was he not on the bench today? He was on the bench, and Kone was on the bench as well, too. Mount obviously came on, but I'm sorry, I'd rather see all three of those guys than Eriksen. You can tell me, oh, it's early for Kone. You can say, oh, Collier, like they needed more an attacking change. Guys, Eriksen has no future at this club. We all know he's leaving at the end of the season on a free. And newsflash, these games don't mean anything to us. The league season is over for us. If I'm Amorim, honestly, play Collier. Who cares? Who cares? Win, lose, or draw in this game, it means absolutely nothing for our season. Our hopes of making top 4 are gone. European football in general, it relies on the Europa League. We're not going to finish in the top 6. Just play the kids at this point. Play the younger players. Eriksen is old news at Man United. I keep seeing this guy come onto the pitch. The cross at the end sums up his performance, man. Honestly, like, that's a little frustrating for me, right? I just don't see the point of it. I don't see the need. He doesn't help us. He's not coming on and improving us. He's not going to be here with us long term. What's the point? Play Collier. I'd rather see him. But yeah, Casemiro, I thought he was pretty good as well, too. Bruno, I think this was one of Bruno's weaker games. Honestly, Bruno lost the ball a lot today. And that's the thing with Bruno, right? You live and die by that. But today, you live and die because of the promise that he could create something. Today, it just wasn't working out for Bruno. But if I'm looking at negatives, I have to be honest, Dorgu was awful today. Dorgu was absolutely awful today. This is what you call a day to forget, right? It's a welcome to the Premier League moment. The amount of loose passes that he played, the amount of times that Elanga ran off the back of him, conceded fouls, his final pass wasn't good enough. Dorgu today, it's a day to forget. I think he was Man United's weakest player today. And I have some sympathy for him because, again, he's a young player coming into a very dysfunctional team. But that's a really bad performance from Dorgu. And it's one that he's going to have to put in the back mirror. He's going to have to put it in the back of his head. And next game, short memory, because the reality is we don't have any other options. Dorgu's our only natural out-and-out wingback. You're playing next week. But it's a poor performance from him today, honestly. And if we're looking at him for the goal, on Elanga's goal, if we really break down that goal, right, I think Dorgu and Garnacho have to do a whole lot better in that situation. Dorgu, first of all, gets caught behind Elanga. He's got to be goal side there. I know it's from our own corner, right? But you can't even give Elanga a second to get in front of you because that guy's rapid. That guy's rapid. And the minute Elanga got in front of Dorgu, it was always going to be a problem. And I think Dorgu is running. Yo, you got to pull him down, right? I know Elanga's in front of you, but you got to take one for the team. And then Garnacho at least gets close enough. You can make the argument for Dorgu that he was never close enough to Garnacho, even though I think at the start he should have gotten closer to him, touch tight. Garnacho gets close to Elanga. He gets close to Elanga. And I had this problem with Dan James against Salah a few years ago, where again, Salah's through on goal. Dan James, you got to just take one for the team. Garnacho, you got to take one for the team. You're not the last man. You had a defender. Just drag down Elanga. Keep him away from your goal. Garnacho, he's trying to tackle him. He's trying to win the ball. He ends up just falling down. It's honestly an embarrassing moment, right? Because Elanga's a guy that Garnacho effectively got out of the team. We effectively chose Garnacho over Elanga. 2 academy graduates, 2 similar kind of players in terms of fast, wide players. And we chose Garnacho over Elanga. We did. Realistically, we did. I'm not trying to run revisionism saying we should have or we shouldn't have, but that's what we did. Elanga kind of embarrassed you there. I think Garnacho's got to take him down. Don't even give him the chance to get close to our box. Drag him down, take the yellow card, we move. Goal scoring opportunity is gone. I thought it's a moment of immaturity from Garnacho. And if I'm really looking at negatives again today, Garnacho's a big negative for me. Yes, he's one of the younger players in this team. And I think with a lot of Man United players, a lot of the fan base is very hesitant to kind of go too harsh on them because they're young. And I understand that. And there's certain players I definitely feel that about. Yoro, it's his first season at the club. He's 18 years old. Or what is he, maybe 19? He's 18, 19 years old. Playing in a back three that he's never done before. I have a level of sympathy for him. And I've also seen a lot of good things from Yoro this year. I believe in that guy. Dorgu, again, I got some sympathy for him. First year, new country, dysfunctional team, I got it. Guys like Cheeto, guys like Aiden Heaven, I got sympathy for them. These are real young players. Garnacho is young in age, but it's a similar situation to Rashford when he was kind of breaking through. He's young, But you look at the minutes he's actually played, he's one of the more, I don't want to say he's one of the more experienced players because De Ligt is in the team. I get that. Like Xerxes in the team. But he is one of the more experienced players in this Man United team. This is his 3rd season at the club. It's his 2nd season as a starter. He's an international for his country. He's young, but he's not that young. And I'm relying on Garnacho to be much better of his decision-making than he's currently showing us. A few years ago, I get it. First season, I get it. Even last season, I get it. But I think we've gotten to a point now with Garnacho where I'm not wrong to expect smarter decisions from him. I'm not wrong to expect better decisions from him. Too many times with Garnacho still in year 3 now, he's just running with his head down into an alleyway, shooting with a guy in front of him, trying to cross when he hasn't even beat his man, putting it into Rosette, passing to opposition players. At this point of Garnacho, he should be a player that we're kind of leaning on. We should be leaning on Garnacho. This is a guy that the whole fan base didn't want to sell for £60 million potentially in January because he's an academy graduate, and look at it, the talent that he has. And I get that he's not scrubbed. I get that. I don't personally think Garnacho's the best player in the world. I definitely think there's more talented players than him. But okay, I hear that. But if that's the case, we need to start expecting stuff from Garnacho eventually, man. And he's not going to go in the summer. I'm sure he's going to be here next season. But at what point do we get with Garnacho where we kind of move past the, oh, he's young, cut him some slack, into the, okay, it's your 4th year at the club now, your 3rd year as a starter, or your 3rd year as a guy playing heavy minutes, we need to rely on you now. I'm personally getting to that point with Garnacho. Again, I understand he's young, but he's not a baby. He's not 18 years old. He's young, but he's not a novice. In this team, you are one of the guys that Man United should be relying on, and there's too many games like today from Garnacho where I'm almost pulling my hair out. One thing I continue saying about him, and if we're talking about improvements going into next season, this summer, he has to improve on this. When Garnacho dribbles and tries to beat his man, he very rarely beats his man. What do I mean by that? He might get past them, but he doesn't create enough separation from them. So he'll dribble, maybe they'll kind of be lingering behind him because of his burst of speed, but he doesn't create the separation so that when he takes his next touch, whether it's a pass or a cross or a shot, how many times do you see Garnacho's final action get blocked? Countless times. Salah is the best in the world, or one of the best in the world, at when he beats his men, he does it so that he creates enough separation from his defender so that his next action, he has enough space to get it off. That's why he's the best in the world at snapshots, because he creates just enough space with his defender to get his shot off, get his pass off, get his cross off. And then the quality on top of that, he normally finds his men, or he normally finds the goal. Garnacho, you don't even get to see if his cross, pass, or shot will get to his desired target, because more often than not, he doesn't create enough space with his defender to get that action off. It's so frustrating. And it's something that in 3 years now, he's still struggling with. In the summer, I don't know whether it's a physicality aspect. He just needs to get stronger, right? When you beat your men, shrug him off you. Or when you beat your men, get that extra yard of space away from him. But it's something he needs to improve. Because at the moment, he's doing some things well. It's not like every part of his game is wrong. But we don't even get to see it. I'm really frustrated with Garnacho at the moment, right? This isn't me just throwing in the towel, even though, again, I continue saying I'm not a fan of his talent. I think he's okay. But there are qualities there that you can get better out of from him. And at the moment, I don't think we're getting it out of him. And I continue to say, right, in this number 10 position, he is a bit lucky that Ahmad got injured. Because let's call it what it is. He wasn't playing if Ahmad is fit. He's not. He's gotten an opportunity because Ahmad's out. Is he really taking that opportunity that next season when everyone's fit, he will be playing in that number 10 position? I'm not convinced by that. I think it's another year next year where Garnacho is yet again a squad player. He's yet again an impact guy off the bench, which I actually think suits him the best. But as a starter, as a guy that we need to rely on, he's a million miles away from it, man. He is a million miles off of it. If I'm looking at the rest of the team, again, I'm not really saying, oh, this is a huge takeaway from this game. I'm really not. We got beat today by a better team, by a better drilled team, and by a stronger, faster, hungrier team. This Forest team have the bit between their teeth. They're on the verge of history. They are hungry for it, and they are in the form of their lives. This Man United team is a team that cannot wait for the final whistle of match day 38 to go on the beach, forget the season ever happened, and hope next year can be better. But I think right now, as Man United fans, what we should be doing, forget about caring about the results. The results in the Premier League don't matter this year. Honestly, it's over. I'm not pissed about the result. But what we should be doing as fans is really looking at this squad and asking ourselves, who actually has a future going forward next season? Who do we want to see Amorim build this team around? Or who do we want to see be parts of this United team next season? How many of them really are there? In the starting 11, Bruno's going to be there. Yoro should be there. Ahmad, when he gets fit, I would expect to be there. The rest of them? Who's really staking their claim in this half season, since January onwards, to make you think, yeah, they got to be a starter next season. I'm gonna be real with you guys. A lot of them, I'm left with more questions than answers. You can say everything about Xerxes you want. He's definitely been much improved since January, right? Much improved. But in an ideal scenario, is Xerxes your starting number 9 or your starting number 10 next season? Ideally, you probably want to improve on him. And that's even with him playing better than he was earlier. That's just my opinion. That's not hating. That's just my opinion. If Xerxes is starting next season for Man United, we haven't gotten that much better. Højlund up front. I don't want to see that guy starting next season. In midfield, is Bruno and Ugarte the dream midfield partnership going forward next season? Or do we need to dip our feet into the midfield market again and bring another midfielder? I think you could argue that we do. Dorgu's probably another one that, again, we hope that he improves again going into next season, another year at the club, more acclimated to the system. He should probably be playing one of the wingbacks. Who's the other wingback? In the center back positions, is Licha back in time? Who's playing next to Yoro? Is Onana our goalkeeper next season? These are all the questions for me that as Man United fans, we should be asking. Because Amram's going to be at the club next season. I don't think they're going to fire him. He's going to be at the club next season. Who is he going to build around? Who's coming in? Who's going out? And more importantly than anything, who's staying and who's staying to be part of the project? How many of you guys are you convinced by? Let me know in the comment section down below. This isn't me hating on anybody. This isn't me saying an agenda. I've given you guys 4 or 5 players that I think, yeah, I'm happy to see them be parts of this team. The other guys, they can be in and around the squad maybe because we can't sell everybody. Like Garnacho, I'm happy to have him as a squad player. But if Garnacho's starting next season, we got problems. We haven't improved that much if Garnacho's still starting. Same with Højlund, same with Xerxes. This front 3, they got to scrap it next year. That's just my opinion. Let me know, guys, because honestly, in terms of getting fussed about results, I'm really concerned about the Europa League, or I'm really invested in the Europa League because it's a chance to save our season. The Prem, I'm on the beach just like these teams. How about that? I'm on the beach mentally. Let me know what you guys thought about the game, chat. Let me know what you guys thought about my analysis as well, too. Any Forest fans in here as well, too. Sorry I didn't cover your team maybe as much as you would have liked, but maybe I can make a whole video on that because I think Forest this season, they deserve more than just a little bit of a segment in a game. They have been absolutely ridiculous. Nuno Espirito Santos has revolutionized this team. And Spurs fans, would you take him back at the club? Were you a little too harsh with him? Were you a little too hasty with his sacking? Let me know all that stuff down below, guys. I'll see you guys very soon. As always, like, share, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow with more games, more tier lists coming up as well, too. It's been your boy, Lyes, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.